The village of Omuokoro, where the tall palm trees swayed with the wind and the red earth carried the stories of generations, a girl named Adiz lived with her stepmother, Neka. Adiz's father, Obi, had remarried after her mother's passing, hoping to bring peace and warmth back into their home. But instead, darkness followed. Neka had never liked Adiz. The girl was too beautiful, too kind-hearted, and worst of all, her father loved her dearly. That love made Neka bitter. She wanted all of Obi's attention, all his wealth, and most of all, she wanted Adiz gone. One morning, as the sun painted the sky with streaks of gold, Neka called Adiz. "Go to the stream and fetch water," she ordered. Adiz obeyed, carrying her clay pot gracefully on her head. But when she returned, Neka slapped the pot off her head, shattering it into pieces. "Useless girl. You take too long for simple tasks. Do you think this is your father's palace where you can do as you please?" Adiz held back tears. "I was only careful not to break the pot." Neka's eyes gleamed with mischief. "Then you will fetch water with your hands next time," she sneered, storming into the house. Days passed, and Neka's cruelty worsened. She starved Adiz, made her sleep outside in the cold, and forced her to do the hardest chores. But Adiz never complained. She would sing softly at night, finding comfort in the stars that twinkled above her. One evening, a traveling diviner came to Omuokoro. He sat in the village square, his cowrie shells spread before him. The villagers gathered, eager to hear what he had to say. Neka, always seeking power, approached him. "Tell me, Great One," she said, "how can I get rid of my enemy without lifting a hand?" The diviner studied his shells, then looked up. "The lion's den holds many secrets. If one enters with a wicked heart, the lions shall feast. But if one is pure, the lions shall bow." A wicked smile stretched across Neka's face. She had found her answer. That night, she went to Obi. "Husband," she said sweetly, "Adiz is cursed. I had a dream that she brings misfortune to our home. The only way to test her innocence is to send her to the lion's den in the forbidden forest. If she survives, then she is truly pure." Obi was hesitant, but Neka's words poisoned his mind like venom. Against his better judgment, he agreed. At dawn, Adiz was dragged from her sleeping mat. "Where are you taking me?" she asked, fear creeping into her voice. "You will prove your innocence," Neka said coldly. The villagers followed as Adiz was led deep into the forbidden forest. The lion's den was a place of death. No one who entered had ever returned. As they approached, the ground trembled with the deep growls of the beasts inside. Adiz's heart pounded as she stood before the dark cave. "Step inside," Neka ordered. With a silent prayer, Adiz walked in. The lions stirred, their golden eyes glowing in the dim light. One massive lion rose to its feet and approached her, its breath hot against her skin. The villagers held their breath, waiting for the inevitable. But instead of attacking, the lion knelt. Then another did the same. And another. Soon, all the lions bowed before Adiz. Gasps filled the air. Murmurs of disbelief spread through the crowd. "She is pure," someone whispered. "The spirits protect her," another said. Adiz stepped out of the den untouched. The people fell to their knees, realizing they had been part of a grave injustice. But Neka's face twisted in rage. "No. This cannot be." She turned to Obi, her voice desperate. "She tricked them. She." "The lions do not bow to trickery," the diviner said, stepping forward. "But now, we must see who they do not bow to." The villagers murmured in agreement. Justice had to be served. Before Neka could protest, the men of the village seized her. "Since you love the lion's den so much," one of them said, "you shall have your turn." She kicked and screamed, but it was no use. They dragged her to the entrance of the cave. The lions, sensing her presence, growled low and deep. "Please," she wailed. "I beg you." But it was too late. They shoved her inside, and as soon as she hit the ground, the lions pounced. Her screams echoed through the forest before fading into silence. Obi fell to his knees before Adiz. "Forgive me, my child," he wept. "I was blind." Adiz, with tears in her eyes, forgave him. But she knew she would never forget. And from that day on, the village of Umuokoro never doubted the power of truth, nor the justice of the spirits that watched over them. In the days that followed, the village remained in awe of what had transpired. The story of how Adise had survived the lion's den spread like wildfire, reaching even the neighboring villages. Many came to see her, believing she was touched by the gods. But Adise remained humble. She did not see herself as special, only that the spirits had protected her because her heart was pure. Obi, filled with guilt, did everything he could to make amends. He treated Adise with the love and care he had once neglected. He ordered a great feast in her honor, inviting the entire village to celebrate her survival. Goats were slaughtered, palm wine flowed, and musicians played their drums until the moon was high in the sky. But even in celebration, Adise's heart was heavy. She could not erase the years of suffering under Neka's cruelty. At night, she would sit outside, staring at the stars, wondering why fate had tested her so harshly. One evening, as she sat in quiet thought, an old woman approached her. The woman was hunched with age, her eyes wise and knowing. "You have been through much, Adise," she said. Adise looked up, surprised. "Yes, Mama. But do not let sorrow hold you back. The gods spared you for a reason. You have a great destiny ahead." Adise listened intently. "What destiny?" The woman smiled. "That is for you to discover." And with that, she walked away, disappearing into the night. Adise pondered the old woman's words. What was her purpose? What was she meant to do with this second chance at life? The answer came sooner than she expected. One morning, a group of travelers arrived in Umuokoro. They were from a distant kingdom, seeking help. Their land had been cursed with famine, and their people were suffering. They had heard of the girl who survived the lion's den and believed she was the one who could lift the curse. The elders of the village gathered to discuss. Some were hesitant. Adise was only a girl, how could she help? But others believed that if the gods had chosen her, she could not refuse her calling. When Adise was asked, she did not hesitate. "I will go," she said firmly. Her father tried to protest, but deep down, he knew he could not stop her. And so, with the blessings of her people, Adise set off on a new journey, unaware of the trials that awaited her, but ready to embrace her destiny. Adise traveled with the strangers, a small group of weary men and women from the distant kingdom of Nduka. The journey was long, stretching across rivers, thick forests, and endless fields of dry land where the sun burned without mercy. But Adise did not complain. She walked with quiet determination, knowing the gods had led her here for a reason. After days of travel, they arrived at Nduka. The sight before Adise was heartbreaking: withered farmlands, dried up streams, and people with hollow eyes, their ribs pressing against their skin from hunger. The village square, once lively, was silent, the air heavy with despair. The elders of Nduka welcomed Adise with hope in their eyes. "Our kingdom has been cursed," one of them explained. "Many seasons ago, our king betrayed the gods. He took what was sacred and defiled it. Since then, the land has refused to bear fruit. We have tried everything, sacrifices, prayers, offerings, but nothing has worked." Adise listened carefully. "What did the king take?" she asked. The elders hesitated, exchanging uneasy glances. Finally, one spoke. "He stole the sacred staff of Allah, the goddess of the earth. The staff was taken from her shrine and hidden. Without it, the land remains barren." Adise's heart tightened. "Where is the staff now?" The elders shook their heads. "No one knows. The king took the secret to his grave. We fear it is lost forever." But Adise refused to believe that. She spent the next few days observing, praying, and speaking to the people. At night, she dreamt of a great tree with deep roots and golden leaves, whispering secrets to the wind. When she awoke, she knew what she had to do. She sought out the oldest woman in Nduka, a blind priestess named Olama. "Tell me," Adise said, kneeling before her. "Do you know where the sacred staff might be?" Olama smiled, as though she had been expecting the question. "The staff is not lost, child. It is merely waiting. Look beneath the oldest tree in the village, the one that has stood before all others." Adise wasted no time. She gathered the villagers, and they made their way to the ancient Irako tree in the center of Nduka. With their bare hands, they dug into the earth, deeper and deeper, until one man's fingers brushed against something hard. A collective gasp echoed through the crowd as they pulled out a long, golden staff, wrapped in old cloth but still gleaming with power. The moment it touched the open air, the wind shifted, and the sky, which had been dull and lifeless, rumbled with distant thunder. Adiz took the staff and carried it to the shrine of Allah. As soon as she placed it on the sacred altar, a miracle occurred. The earth trembled softly, and the scent of rain filled the air. That night, for the first time in years, the heavens opened, and rain poured down on Nduka. The people danced and wept, rejoicing as the curse was broken. The elders declared Adiz a savior, and though they begged her to stay, she knew her journey was not over. The gods had chosen her, and she had more work to do. And so, with the blessings of Nduka, she continued her journey, not knowing where the gods would lead her next but trusting that wherever she went, she would bring light where there was once darkness. As Adiz journeyed away from Nduka, the road ahead stretched wide, unknown, and full of mysteries. She had no clear destination, only the certainty that the gods would guide her path. With each step, the earth felt alive beneath her feet, as if whispering its gratitude. Days turned into weeks as she wandered through thick forests and across vast rivers, relying on the kindness of strangers and the provisions gifted to her by the people of Nduka. One evening, as the sun dipped into the horizon, she arrived at another village, Alaif. Alaif was unlike any place she had seen before. The air was heavy, thick with the scent of burning herbs and something else, something dark. The villagers moved about like shadows, their eyes hollow and lifeless. She could sense fear clinging to them like a second skin. She stopped an old man sitting by the roadside. "Baba, what troubles this land?" she asked. The man looked up, his gaze wary. "You should leave, child. This place is cursed." Cursed. He sighed deeply. For years, Alaif has lived in the grip of a monster. It comes every full moon, demanding a sacrifice. If we do not offer one, it takes what it pleases, our children, our wives, our brothers. We have tried to fight, but nothing stops it. The people have lost hope. Adiz felt a cold shiver run through her spine. What kind of monster? No one knows for certain, the old man whispered. Some say it is a spirit, others a beast. But it is merciless. Adiz clenched her fists. She had not come here by chance, the gods had led her. When is the next full moon? Tomorrow night, the old man said, shaking his head. And the next sacrifice has already been chosen. Who? A girl, barely 12 years old. Her mother weeps, but what choice do we have? Adiz's heart burned with fury. She could not stand by and do nothing. "I will take her place," she said. The old man gasped. "No. You do not understand, child. The monster cannot be reasoned with." "Then let it come," Adiz said firmly. "I will face it." Word of Adiz's decision spread quickly through the village. Some called her brave, others foolish, but none could convince her to change her mind. That night, she was taken to the forest clearing where the sacrifices were left. The villagers tied her hands loosely, more out of tradition than necessity, then fled, leaving her alone in the darkness. The forest was silent. Too silent. Even the wind refused to move. Then she heard a deep, guttural growl that sent a chill down her spine. The sound of heavy footsteps crushing leaves. A foul stench filled the air, thick like rotting flesh. From the shadows, it emerged. The creature was massive, part man, part beast, with red glowing eyes and jagged claws. Its skin was the color of burnt earth, its teeth long and sharp. It exuded power and terror, a nightmare made real. "You are not the usual offering," the creature said, its voice like thunder. Adiz stood her ground, her heart steady. "I am not here to be eaten. I am here to end this." The monster let out a laugh that shook the trees. "End this? Foolish girl. Do you not see? I am eternal. This village belongs to me." "Not anymore," Adiz said. She closed her eyes and called upon the gods. She did not know what she was asking for, only that she needed their strength. A warmth spread through her chest, growing hotter and hotter until she opened her eyes. And the monster took a step back. A golden light radiated from Adiz's body, her skin glowing like the sun. The creature roared in anger, lunging at her, but she did not flinch. She raised her hands, and the light expanded, swallowing the beast whole. It screamed, a sound so terrible it made the trees tremble, but Adiz did not stop. She pushed the light deeper into it, burning away its darkness, until, with one final roar, it collapsed into ashes. Silence. The night wind stirred, carrying the scent of fresh earth. The curs. When Adiz returned to the village, the people could hardly believe their eyes. They had expected death, not salvation. The chief of Alaf knelt before her, tears in his eyes. You have done what no warrior could. The gods truly walk with you. But Adiz only smiled. It is not me. It is justice. And so, her journey continued, for as long as there was darkness in the world, Adiz knew she had more battles to fight. As Adiz left Alaf, the villagers cheered her name, calling her a savior, a warrior of the gods. But she did not stay to bask in their praise. She had learned that her path was never meant to end in one place. There would always be another village, another injustice, another battle to fight. For months, she traveled across the lands, facing evils both seen and unseen. She healed the sick with sacred herbs, exposed corrupt kings who stole from their people, and even defeated a powerful sorcerer who had enslaved an entire village with dark magic. Wherever she went, she left hope in her wake. But deep inside, Adiz knew her journey would not last forever. One evening, as she rested beneath an ancient baobab tree, an old woman appeared before her. It was the same woman from Umuokoro, the one who had told her she had a great destiny. You have done well, Adiz, the woman said, her voice as soothing as the evening breeze. Your name will be remembered for generations. But there is still so much to do, Adiz said, looking at the horizon. So much darkness in the world. The old woman smiled. Yes, but you have shown the world that darkness does not last forever. Others will rise because of you. Your work is done. For the first time in years, Adiz felt peace settle over her heart. She had given everything, her strength, her courage, her love, to the people who needed it most. Now, she could finally rest. She returned to Umuokoro, where her father, Obi, wept with joy at the sight of her. My daughter, he cried, embracing her. I thought the world had taken you from me. It only made me stronger, Adiz said with a smile. The village honored her with a great feast, but this time, Adiz did not leave afterward. She stayed, helping her people grow, teaching them the lessons she had learned, and living in peace among those she loved. And though time passed and Adiz grew old, her legend never faded. Children whispered her name in bedtime stories, warriors invoked her spirit before battle, and elders told of the girl who walked with the gods. And so, her story lived on. Like and subscribe for more legendary tales.